So welcome back, guys. This is part 2 of the microphone tutorial in 3ds Max and Substance Painter. So in this part in particular, we're going to kind of work starting from the UVs. So the UVs are one of the most important parts of creating anything for anything in 3D, whether it be for games or for other purposes. So as you can see here, we're trying to unwrap this piece here, and the first thing we're going to do here is try to unwrap the bigger pieces first, and I just gotta cut the seams in order to make things a little bit easier and faster for us. And when you're done with unwrapping your UVs, as you can see here, you can actually put them aside in order for you to be able to see if everything is fine or not. If not, you can relax the UV shells a little bit in order to see whether your UVs are kind of having any problems. As you can see, just relax it, and it looks a little bit better, and actually way better. So also here, it seems like sometimes you need to manually adjust to make sure that everything is working properly. Sometimes the tools in 3ds Max does not work optimally or as efficient as expected. So that's why we need to interfere with their automation and do some manual adjustments. Alright, so the next piece is very simple. It is a box. We usually use box. I usually prefer to use box mapping for lots of occasions because it is straightforward, and it is something that kind of gives you a way of not for me personally, I don't like to think too much about what I'm doing, especially when it comes to UVs, because it's repetitive. It is a little bit, it's not difficult in the sense that it's hard, but it takes a long time and kind of plays on your mental strength, and if you're not mentally strong, then you're not going to be able to do hours upon hours of UV unwrapping every day. So yeah, so here it seems like we just converted this piece to low poly because it wasn't originally converted to low poly for whatever reason. Probably I forgot to, or I didn't see it. And right now we're ready to apply the UV unwrap modifier. As I said before, it is this piece in particular is very straightforward because it is basically a box, and when it comes to boxes and basic shapes, it's just about organizing the UVs and something of that sort, and the things that and the most important thing here is just to organize everything and put it aside, apply the checker texture, see if the size of these UV shells is compatible with the size of the other pieces that we worked on previously. And this is one of the best functions, the best reasons for using the checker texture to create kind of a unified scale for all the pieces when it comes to UV unwrapping. Alright, so here the next piece also is going to be very simple because this is basically part of the other piece that we worked on just now. They are extremely similar. When it comes to this piece or this one here, up here, it's not going to be very straightforward because we have to do apply trick, which is basically splitting this hemisphere in half, and it's probably the best thing to do it, but sometimes doing it this way is going to not give us optimal results in texturing, depending on what texture you use. And yeah, the seam might appear. And as I said, the seam might appear in the final result when texturing in Substance Painter or any other software you use. But for the most part, I think this is the best way of getting probably the best way of getting a very unstretched UV template or UV layout. Alright, for this piece also, we're going to make sure that we're going to unwrap it properly. So probably we're going to cut some seams manually, since this is not going to be that easy to apply directly, because there are some triangles inside, and we need to cut some of these UV shells manually. So we're going to use the tool seam to seam, a point to point seam tool, and this basically allows us to manually jump from point to point in order to cut these seams. And it seems like this is one of the best tools in order to do this, because triangles, 3ds Max actually does not support automation when it comes to triangles. It only works with quads for whatever reason. But yeah, it's actually a good thing, because sometimes when you're trying to select a loop of edges or ring of edges and it doesn't work, it means that you have a problem in your mesh, which is a good indicator. Alright, so for these small pieces, we're gonna stitch and select and stitch every piece here. There are quite a few of them, and yeah, when you're done, you're gonna organize them just like this, and try to make sure that they're not kind of looking weird or something of that sort. Probably this is gonna take longer than it needs to, longer time than it needs to take, but in the end I believe it's gonna be worth it, because even though it's gonna take 2 or 3 minutes, it's a nice addition. And even though the poly count is gonna be a little bit higher since I used that, I believe that it's gonna make the process of easier text, the kind of the process of texture easy for us, since in Substance Painter kind of painting these holes is manually is not something I would like to do. But since we have these in place, we have these UV shells, we can actually paint those exact kind of spots, and the holes are gonna look exactly like what we want them to. So we're gonna talk about this later, actually, when we jump to Substance. For now, we are in 3ds Max, so not yet. Alright, so this piece here, probably this border, probably we're gonna make it straight for later, but for now it seems like we're gonna put it aside just it is. Also, these pieces seem like they need they need to be stitched together and organized in the right place. Alright, so we're gonna change the position of some of these vertices and rescale everything. Alright, so let's jump to the other piece. So this piece here is going to be very straightforward and simple. I'm going to use the box mapping method. It seems like also we have these small pieces that need to stay separated from the main UV shells for baking purposes. All right, apply the UVs, or actually the checker texture, and right now we're gonna try to UV unwrap this this pin or whatever it is. It's basically a hemisphere, so this shouldn't be a problem because it is something that can be done really quickly. All right. Also, these pieces here are repetitive, so this will not take a long time because we need only to unwrap one piece and the other is gonna find its place automatically, since the result you're gonna get from this on this one is gonna transfer automatically to the other ones. All right, so when we apply the checker texture, you can see that everything is automatically unwrapped as we said before. All right, so also this arc is something that is going to be simple to UV unwrap. Just throw these pieces together, try to attach them. So I'm using the shortcut. If you haven't guessed that yet, it is Shift S from the keyboard if you want to stitch your pieces together. All right, so and when you're done, you just put them aside in order to be able to make sure that the size of the UV shells is similar to the rest of the pieces you worked on. This R letter is not necessary, not anymore, because we're gonna do this in Substance Painter. All right, so we are pretty much covered. We have pretty much covered the most important pieces, and we UV unwrap them successfully. So right now, we are taking care of the smaller pieces. All right, so it seems like these pieces are gonna be something that will not take a long time to finish. All right, when it comes to this piece here, this switch, we have to actually cut some seams manually because it's not gonna be it's not gonna be something simple to UV unwrap. So using seams is probably gonna make it easier for us. So we're gonna cut it in half like we did when it came to the hemisphere, because I think it's gonna help us relax our UVs better. Alright, so even though this piece here is simple, it seems like we can actually see that it looks like it is complicated, but it is not, because basically it is a simple piece. Also, we need to organize and rotate these UV shells in a nice way in order to Alright, this piece also is a very simple piece that we're going to work on real quick. Alright, so when it comes to UV unwrapping this wire or this cable here, we're gonna try different methods. So the first thing we're gonna try is to cut it in half, kind of two sections, upper section and lower section. So the top and the bottom, and I think this is good sometimes, but in this case in particular, it's really hard to deal with. So as you can see here, I'll try to explain to you why this is kind of not efficient. First of all, because of the shape we have here is not gonna look good when kind of creating the UV template later when we assemble everything. And also it's not efficient when it comes to space and storage. This shape kind of it's selfish because it takes too much space, and every other piece needs to adjust its position according to its needs, and it's kind of weird looking shape. So the other option we have is actually to do it the good way, which is actually to cut it open from one end and try to UV actually try to use the pelt tool and relax it a little bit, and you're gonna get a kind of a rectangle that represents the wire that is the cylinder we are dealing with here. So as you can see here, trying to reason with this method is probably gonna be a losing game. That's why we're gonna apply the second option. And as I said before, using the pelt tool is gonna give us a better result than the other method. Don't get me wrong here, because this method is amazing for lots of other situations, like I don't know, kind of for example, donut shape objects, and if you have spheres, if you have kind of a tube that is probably that has a standard shape, this is gonna work better when it comes to this situation. But for this particular case, I think using this particular method we are using right now is gonna be better. So right now I'm trying to kind of straighten these lines, whether it be horizontal or vertical. You can use the alignment tool. I'm using the shortcut X in order to you align horizontally and Y to align vertically. Right now you can see that we are probably done with everything, so convert it to a poly and start attaching all the pieces together. So select all the pieces, attach them together, and apply the UV unwrap modifier. And as you can see, every and all the pieces are here, which is a nice thing. So we have everything here, and right now we need to organize. And it seems like that wire is the biggest piece, and I had to cut it in half. Probably I'm gonna cut it in three, depending on how this is gonna look. Alright, so we just rescaled this wire a little bit because for some reason it seems like I think this is gonna work. Alright, so we're gonna rescale everything, as you can see, because if we keep the size as it was before, it's not gonna be enough to fill all the UV template we are creating. Right now, take your time in order to organize these pieces inside the 0 to 1 space. Also, don't forget to make sure that pieces are not overlapping or something of that sort, because the textures are going to look repetitive and it's not going to be good. Alright, so as you can see here, when we're done with the process of creating the UV template, right now we're gonna jump to creating our, or actually naming our object and our pieces. So we have the high poly and the low poly, and in order to and in order to and in order to kind of bake properly in Substance Painter, we need to give these pieces give these pieces proper names, because Substance Painter baking works best when we name our pieces properly, since it is gonna name the pieces according to kind of individually. So it's gonna treat our model as if every piece is individually baked, and this will prevent overlapping and projection issues and some things of that sort. So yeah, this is gonna be a good thing to keep in mind. Of course, when you choose your names, it doesn't really matter what the names are. As I always say, it is about kind of actually communicating the function of these pieces. If someone is going to use this piece after you, or if you're going to deliver it to a texturing artist in order for him to understand what the hell is going on, or if you're going to sell this model, the person who's going to receive it is going to be able to tell what each piece is going to do, what each piece is based on its name that you assigned it to it. So uh, yeah, this is for the most part what I can say about naming. Also, you're going to use suffixes which are going to be HPLP, high, low, high poly, low poly. It doesn't really matter, but the most important thing is you must have consistency. So you must be consistent. You can't change that within a particular model, of course. And also you're going to use the same suffixes in Substance Painter in order for it to identify which is which, the between the low and the high. Alright, so keep doing this, keep renaming these pieces, and when you're done, we're gonna go to Substance Painter. I just skipped baking because I forgot to record it. Anyways, here I'm trying to apply some smart materials, and also I'm gonna change some parameters when it comes to this smart material in particular. And we're gonna use a few of those. Basically, it's not gonna be that complicated. We're gonna use also this folder in order to be able to use a mask properly, and just in case we want to change the material, we're gonna just drop it inside the folder, and we don't have to create the mask once more. So we're gonna here we're using the polygon fill in order to select the areas or the pieces that this smart material is going to be assigned to. And of course, we're going to be a little bit careful because not everything is going to be affected. And as you can see here, we're going to do some manual selection. So we're going to go F1 from the keyboard in order to see this double viewport that shows us the 3 perspective view and the 2D perspective view. So we can select the polygons that are gonna be that are gonna help us to paint over that hemisphere. Alright, so right now we will apply the second material, which is going to be this shiny steel material. It's a nice material that kind of, it doesn't have too much details, but right now we're going to deselect it from the hemisphere in the back of the head of microphone, because really we want to have control over where our kind of materials are applied, because if we don't do this, then when we change the position of the layers, probably one is going to be kind of covering the other one on top underneath it, which is not a good thing. That's why I prefer to assign materials only to the pieces that they are supposed to be assigned to, which is kind of help us to avoid these weird problems that we might accidentally fall in. So I will try to apply this material to a bunch of pieces. It's not going to be that hard to do this. It's straightforward, and for now we are adding a fill layer. So this fill layer is going to be important for painting the inside of the holes in the head of the microphone, because these holes here are kind of black, and if you like add it from a distance and we don't do this, it's not gonna look natural. It's gonna look weird because it has to look like these holes are kind of really open to the inside of the inner side of the microphone, which is dark. So if we don't do this and keep it as it is shiny, it will not look like it is supposed to look like. That's why we are doing this, which is a very effective thing to do. So other than that, we're going to add a plastic material. We're going now to these smart materials, and we're going to look for a plastic material. We're going to create a folder, give it a name, then put the material inside, and we're going to give it a black mask and use the polygon fill in order to assign this material to the particular wire we are trying to paint. Also here, when it comes to this piece on top, it is supposed to have something written on it. So what we'll do is we'll try to do that, but I think first of all we're going to assign the another black material, which is the same thing that we applied on the body of this model. And yeah, it seems this way it kind of feels like it is unified or something of that sort. So right now we're going also to add a fill layer, and we're gonna add a black mask to it, and we're gonna go to alphas in order to write that text we talked about. So we're gonna use a font that looks good for you, and try to kind of type the text I'm typing right now. Basically because I did not see that kind of I know it will happen, but what basically this is, since the surface is kind of curved, it's not flat, it's following the curve of the sphere, then it's not going to be, the projection is not going to be perfect. So this is why we are seeing these results. And in order to fix this, we can keep this text here as long as it is, because if we do this, we will see this angle all the time. So whether we flip it or not, whether we put it in the straightforward this position, it's not going to work properly. So the answer to fixing this is basically going to be kind of splitting the text to kind of chunks, small pieces, in order to be able to kind of hide the illusion, hide the fact that the text is gonna be curved. So the longer it's, think of it like the surface of the Earth. When you measure a short distance, it looks like it is straight, and when you measure when you look at it from space, it's gonna appear that Earth is flat, is actually curved, and kind of it looks like a sphere from space. So basically the same concept works here. So small distances look like they are straight, long distances look actually curved and have an angle when they are actually on a sphere. So when it comes to this, I think this is the end. I forgot actually to add the R letter in front of the filter of the mic. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, and if you can help us, please support us on Patreon, because this means a lot to me. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.